Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Name?
For the proof of life.
Ovi.
Proceeding to extraction.
Tyler.
We were played. You gotta leave the kid behind.
That's not the job. That kid is a walking corpse.
There's no way to protect him.
Are you gonna leave me in the street?
I'll get you home.
Extraction, directed by Sam Hargrave. Rated R.
What's up, everybody? That was Extraction.
I like
I'm
how
used to you starting it now.
I like how because we changed the format of the show, all of a sudden you started the show. All of a sudden you felt the need to talk first. Whereas for months I've been doing it, and now all of a sudden you just did it.
Well, you know, everybody knows I'm famously intolerant of silences. So as soon as I hit stop, I wanted to get rolling. I wasn't sure if you could see when I hit stop or not. So by all means, by all means.
No, that's not the reason why. That's not the reason why. It's interesting though. It's because whoever feels like they're the one who created the show, like who made that episode, is the one who feels the need to talk first. Because I've set up all the other shows, and you set up this one. So all of a sudden you started talking. Yeah,
that's weird. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, by all means, introduce us and let us know what's going on.
I had no problem with it. It was just something I noted. I was like, before I could even talk, you had already jumped in. I was like, man, okay, well.
Yeah. Well, the first thing everybody will notice is that they're in for a treat. They can see us in our pretty faces here today.
It is a treat that they can see one of us. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a new format we're going to be going to give you guys a little bit more. Obviously, if you're still listening on Spreaker or iTunes, this is the audio version, but we also have a video version, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. We're going to be going out to Facebook Live and all these kind of things here in the next couple weeks as we spread our domain out and about. So feel free to look for us everywhere. Look for a lot of fun things coming up, a lot of new stuff with us. But as of right now, you're looking at us where we probably are 99% of the time now, because we're still in quarantine if you're watching this from the future.
We're in quarantine like everybody else in the world.
The 83rd week of quarantine by my watch.
Feels like
it. So, but thanks.
If people watch me on WETA Around Town, this is the background they get on that now too. Like, yeah, like my checkerboard pattern in the background and my Funkos in the corner and.
Yeah. Now, what is that? Because I thought that was like studio matting. You know, the stuff you put on the walls in the studio. It is okay. It is. I thought so.
It's soundproofing. I got it around the room. But yeah, this is the same setup that I use for Around Town now because we're doing our episodes from quarantine also. So yeah. Have we even introduced ourselves yet? I mean, we started talking like right away.
No, we haven't
really introduced ourselves yet. But I'm Travis Hobson. That's John Nolan. We are the Punch Drunk Critics. We are the creators of punchdrunkcritics.com. Been around for a very long time. Feels like it's been like 13 years, but it feels like 26.
Yeah. I was just laughing at the odd number, but I was like, well, I guess that's twice 13, so that's not so odd then.
Yeah, it feels twice as long. It's been 12 or 13 years, I think. We started in maybe 2008.
2008.
Yeah,
maybe tail end of 2007, 2008.
Yeah, that's wild.
To
think about. But yeah, so we've been around a long time. We are movie critics. We are movie fans. And we love to talk movies. We talk about a whole bunch of different things. So movies are what the site is mainly about. So if you're joining us for the first time, hello, thank you. and now you can see our pretty faces. And I forgot to shave. So that's
Jesus, I did too.
all right.
This is my
I
quarantine.
don't have like a full quarantine beard like some people I know.
Yeah. Well, I had one until this morning. I actually trimmed this. This is trimmed up that I did for you guys specifically, so you wouldn't be too.
And this is trimmed.
It's there. You can see it. It's trimmed up.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. That's the thing. You usually don't have any beard at all.
Oh yeah. I stay with the goatee usually.
Is Angela?
Actually, my daughter, and she's got the final say over everything. She won't let me shave it. She won't let me do it. So I'm not shaking that tree.
How have you? Because we didn't do a show last week.
We didn't.
We both had a lot of stuff going on last week, so we couldn't do it. How have you been holding up? This is like,
good. This
is like for Virginia. This is about what 5 or 6 weeks of quarantine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's definitely 5 weeks for us. It was right after my birthday was on the 20th of March, and that weekend was really when everything started going down. So happy birthday to me. But yeah, I work in my day jobs in IT. So I am unfortunately more busy now than I was before because every person needs to work remotely and no person knows how to do that. So it's been crazy. But the nice thing is, there's plenty of streaming options to get to when I come home. We got one to talk about this week and a lot of stuff to catch up on too, which is what I think a lot of people are missing there. People are freaking out about, the theaters being closed and missing release dates. But a couple months ago, everybody was talking about there's too much time. I mean, there's too much out there, not enough time to watch everything. Well, now you can catch up. There's a lot of things you can catch up and watch. Like I just finished watching I Am the Night, the Chris Pine show that was on TNT. And I never realize it was about the Black Dahlia guy.
Watching.
What's that?
That Chris Pine, I won't be looking at it.
Yeah. But catching up on stuff like that is a nice perk of all this stuff.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I think we talked about it before, and I've talked about it with others. But I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I wish all the film critics would shut up. The amount of stuff to do has not stopped.
No.
There's just as much to do now. Like I wrote, I think 4 reviews last week for us. I wrote 4, including Extraction. And I've got at least 3 coming up this upcoming week. So it's like, I'm still doing just as much. The only difference is I'm not having to drive my ass out to the theater to do it.
Yeah. But, a lot of them, and I don't know how many of them will watch this, but I'm not talking about you specifically, whoever's watching this, but it's that we're not getting the invites to the special screenings, and there's no joie de vivre associated with it. And a lot of times, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, the volume's not going down, but the quality of what's being reviewed kind of is, and a lot of people still see streaming only things as being below them. So that's in my opinion, those are the kind of people that I've seen complaining about it.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. I mean, I understand, I guess, but it just seems like if you're a film critic, this time is just as busy as it ever was. I don't know anybody who's really had to slow down, and I don't necessarily like this whole thing that we're going through right now, this whole pandemic is really, it's like super, super stressful for me. I'm sure it's, as a guy with a family, I'm sure it's stressful for you too. But I'd be lying if I said I don't like the fact that I can kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Because before this, it was like particularly like hectic. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of movies to go to, a lot of traveling, a lot of like interviews and stuff, and it's just exhausting. And it takes time and it takes energy. And this isn't really a vacation because it's too stressful for that. But at the same time, I kind of like being home and being able to watch this stuff.
Yeah, it's a forced slowdown.
I've gotten reviews done a lot easier and faster than I ever have. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the funny. Yeah, that's the funny silver lining to all this is that I was talking to Angela the other day, and I said, I wonder at the end of this thing how many families will be saved and how many families will be broken apart, because all of a sudden, we have dynamics that have shifted totally. You have, people that work so much they never see their family, and now they're stuck together all the time. And that's going to do one of two things. It'll either make them stronger or break them apart. And I'm sure this will be the subject of I don't know how many movies about this pandemic when it's all over. But it's a really weird thing. But the silver lining is it's kind of a forced slowdown for a world that was constantly going too fast and didn't know how to stop it all. I mean, is it worth the price? Absolutely not. But, there's that silver lining to it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. But it's either going to be a lot of divorces or a lot of pandemic babies.
Oh, yeah, both.
Babies. I'm going to guess that there'll be more pandemic divorces.
I would say so. You can't put people together for that much without expecting them to fight.
The reason why, people are going to fight. You don't realize what it's like, until you have to be around that person all day.
Yeah.
You may not want to go to work, but you kind of need that break from that person. Like, you don't realize it until they're there all the time.
Yeah.
At the same time, you also got to come out of this too. So I expect that we're going to see a lot of pandemic divorces.
Yeah.
At the end of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it'll probably be a mix of the two. It'll be pandemic babies followed by pandemic divorces, because those first couple of weeks are going to be nice. You get all this time together, and that's where the baby comes. But then you're going to be fighting after that. So, on to happier stuff, I would say. As you mentioned, you had 4 reviews to write this week yourself. Netflix seems to be the main source of new releases of this week. We got Extraction, which was the clip you guys heard in the beginning, and we'll be talking about that. But a couple other things came out this week as well, including the Willoughbys, which I saw you didn't like too much, huh?
I did not.
Yeah. Well, we finally watched Trolls World Tour last night. I had to.
Sorry, well, I'm here trying to post the YouTube link, so if I'm distracted, that's why.
Oh no, you're good. It doesn't. Our stream seems to be a few minutes behind. It doesn't look like it's actually putting up yet, but you should be able to see that.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why. That's why I'm a little bit distracted here. That's okay.
Yeah. Like we mentioned, everybody, this is the first live video streaming that we're trying to do. A couple things at once. So you may be watching this at 3 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. if we have to load it up later. But either way, we're working on it. We'll get it up for you. So yeah, I did see the Willoughbys also. I didn't like it. Willoughbys, another Netflix movie, and Netflix right now is killing it. I mean, as you'd expect, you got people stuck at home. Mm-hmm.
To watch and listen to. Need stuff to watch. Netflix is the default, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen, like, in the recent week or two, Netflix's valuation has surpassed Disney.
Right.
Yeah, and it's largely because of what we're all going through right now. You think people who didn't have Netflix before aren't going to subscribe to Netflix right now?
Right.
We're getting more views than ever right now. I've watched more Netflix and Hulu and all this other crap lately than I ever have. I almost never have time for TV that isn't professional wrestling. But lately I do. So, and I've been trying to take advantage of it. I've gotten through all 3 seasons of The Handmaid's Tale now. I've started on Little Fires Everywhere. I'm about halfway through that now. So yeah, I'm looking to start Ozark after this is over.
I started the premiere of Ozark the other day, just on a whim. I didn't really even have time to watch it, but I do this sometimes. I'll start something for like 30 seconds just so it's in my recently watched, so I won't forget about it. And I did that with Ozark, and I gotta admit, like, even 5-10 minutes in, I was like, okay, this is something I definitely want to watch. And people have been talking about it forever, and we're 3 seasons in now. Apparently, it's pretty awesome. So it's on my list as well. I gotta get. I'm kind of pissed I didn't watch it before we did this. I should have watched it last night just so I could talk about it. But Penny Dreadful City of Angels with Natalie Dormer just appeared on Showtime.
Tell me about that.
What I didn't watch it yet is what I'm saying, but I watched the original series, Penny Dreadful, and that's what I'm saying. I'm kicking myself for not watching it before the show, so I could have talked about it. But the original was just so out there and crazy. It never really caught on big, but it did manage to have 3 seasons. You had Eva Green, Josh Hartnett, not Pierce Brosnan, Timothy, what was his name? Dalton, Timothy Dalton. And it was just comprised of all these grim gothic horror themes from like the 1800s. It was just really well put together. And now Natalie Dormer's starring in, I guess you call it the sequel series, Penny Dreadful City of Angels. And she seems to be like the herald of evil, and where she goes, bad things come with her. And it takes place in 1930s, 40s, 50s Los Angeles, which, while not the most tolerant of all times, has always been a cool looking time to me. I like stuff that takes like the gangster squad type movies and stuff like that to take place then. So I've got that on my
Our YouTube live stream has not started yet.
Yeah, I'm connected here and I'm pushing it through, but it doesn't seem to be taking yet. So I've got it pushing on the other side here. I'm not seeing it connecting, but I'm working on that while we talk.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you haven't seen Penny Dreadful yet. I don't know why they brought that show back in a different form. I don't know
either, but this one actually does look more interesting than the last one. I mean, the other one was more straight horror, but this one just seems like just that time period, man. 30s, 40s, Los Angeles. Just it's a compelling time period.
Interesting.
Yeah. So not that you'll already be listening to this if you're watching it, but we will maintain the 2:00 start next week. Everybody, if you're listening to this, we just have a couple of kinks to work out with this.
We're gonna try.
We're going to try. We're close to that. But with the streaming piece will be okay next week because I think I see what the problem is. So I'll fix that now. We might be able to get it up and running. But
YouTube?
What's that?
You mean why it's not going to YouTube?
Yeah, why it's not streaming there as we are.
After I've sent out links saying, hey, join us on YouTube.
I told you when I set it out that it wasn't working yet.
I'm going to get the messages being like, hey, man, it's not working. I'm not seeing anything.
I told you. We're working the kinks out, and but it'll be uploaded by the time they even look. No big deal. So yeah, we'll have something there for them to look at.
So we started the show off with a clip from Extraction, which is the Netflix film that opened this weekend, starring Chris Hemsworth. This is basically a Marvel Cinematic Universe reunion in a lot of ways. It's produced by the Russo brothers. Obviously, they're the guys who did the last two Avengers movies, and a couple of Captain America movies. They are the heavy hitters of the Marvel universe. At least they were. They're pretty much done with Marvel for now. But although their production company, like all their movies have starred like Marvel vets. Like they did that movie 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman,
Right.
So they're keeping the people in house, right? Even if they aren't really working with Marvel anymore. So it's Chris Hemsworth, the Russo brothers, and it's directed by Sam Hargraves, who is a longtime stunt coordinator, stunt guy, making his directorial debut. He did stuff for the Captain America movies and the Avengers movies, working with the Russo brothers. And so it's his first time behind the camera. And as you can imagine, for a stunt guy, a lot like Chad Stahelski and the other guy. What's the other guy's name? The guys who did John Wick. Chad Stahelski.
Oh.
And
yeah, I'm brain cramped today. It's not going to happen for me. But
a lot like those guys.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy did the Deadpool movie, didn't he? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, a lot like those guys. Action is his thing, and Extraction is a straight ahead, straightforward action movie.
Isn't it?
Where Chris Hemsworth plays an ex Black Ops soldier named Tyler Rake. The goddamn name makes me laugh every time.
That is an awesome action name. I don't care what you say. Tyler Rake.
It is a perfectly fine action name, but it's also ridiculous. And that's sort of one of the things that I kind of respected about Extraction, which this is a no frills movie if there ever was one. It is
product placement.
Yes, definitely. If there was this is a no frills movie, man. If this was like in the 80s, this would be sitting on a VHS rack somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And you'd probably just grab it and pick it up. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination as far as I'm concerned. It's not a great movie. It's too generic for that. But I still kind of respected it because I think it's sort of tongue in cheek also. I wish the script was a little bit lighter. But I think it's fairly tongue in cheek. I mean, Hemsworth's character Tyler Rake, he's a guy who kind of he has a troubled past like all these characters do in these movies. And the movie begins with him waking up in a drunken stupor and then jumping off of a cliffside over a waterfall and meditating at the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, that kind of got me.
Simply absurd. And it's like, come on. And I was like, and in my review I wrote, I expect like a Keanu Reeves character to do that.
Right, but isn't Chris Hemsworth almost like a Australian Keanu? I mean, he's almost there. And yeah, you know, the only time
the storied career of those kinds of off.
Not yet.
Them to have that.
Not yet, but you can see him getting there because he's been embracing those type of roles. But he, you know, the thing is, the movie is, you know, it's tongue in cheek in some parts. I mean, even you mentioned the name. They even make fun of the name at one point in the movie. They make fun of his name when him and the kid are talking. And really, that was the lowest point of the movie for me. And that was the only place that really kind of fell apart, was trying to force this, not force, but try to.
There's a really lame and melodramatic scene between him and the kid he's trying to rescue.
Yeah, and the kids.
They could have left that out. And for those who don't know the plot, we haven't explained what the plot is. We don't want to talk too much about plotting, but basically he plays an ex-Black Ops soldier who is hired to rescue the kidnapped son of a Bangladeshi drug dealer, who's imprisoned, by the way. So of course the guys who kidnapped him sends waves of goons to stop him, and there's another guy, an ex special forces guy who works for the drug dealer, the drug lord, who's also involved trying to get the kid. So basically it's a man on a mission movie. That's what it is. It's a man on a mission movie, and it's pretty, like I said, pretty point A to point B. But that's the basic plot of Extraction, and it doesn't go far beyond that, honestly.
Yeah, it's the most annoying level in any video game you've played, where you have to escort the guy throughout. You have to escort somebody throughout waves and waves of bad guys. But I'll tell you, Sam Hargrave, who directed it, and as you mentioned before, just big time stunt coordinator on Endgame and Infinity War, all that stuff. You can tell that guy knows what he's doing, because for all the story, all the lack of story or whatever you want to say, the action scene, specifically the one that everybody's talking about, which is an 11-minute single take scene, it's all hard hitting. They shoot it just the right way. It's inventive in parts, and there's a lot of things that blow up and go boom, and made it a lot of fun for me.
No, I agree with you. The action is by far the best part, and Hargraves, you can tell he's really studied what the Russos did. Because you look at the Russos, their style of fight choreography is very different than anybody else in the Marvel Universe. It's like, you remember that first time you watched Captain America, the Winter Soldier,
right?
They had that opening fight scene on with Batroc, and it looked like nothing else you had seen from Marvel up to that point.
Right.
Then the fight scenes in Captain America's Civil War looked like nothing you'd seen from Marvel up to that point. Hargrave is clearly studied, is clearly kept his eye on stuff they've been doing. But I also saw a little bit of Gareth Evans in there, a little bit of the Raid's Gareth Evans in there, some of the action. There's some really brutal stuff that happens in there. There's a scene with a pitchfork.
Oh God, yeah.
There's some really tough action in this. And yeah, he's a director that I want to see do more stuff. I feel like, and I don't know, we'll get across this and around when we start talking about news, but Gareth Evans revealed the full plot of what the Raid 3 would have been if he did it, which he's not going to do it. So he just gave away the entire story, like from start to finish. And it's shit to somebody like me who wants those movies bad. But I feel like there's this gap of action movies like that, and not like the kind we get all the time that we get for streaming all the time, that we always get. They'll have like all these, guys like Scott Adkins in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like they aren't bad, but they're just sort of generic.
Yeah.
Like I want to see like a big Hollywood action movie again. The last one they really tried was Atomic Blonde. And I didn't really care for the story in that one so much. So right. I'd like to see Hargraves get a little bit something bigger to handle, something bigger to do.
Well, if anybody's going to, it's going to be the guy who makes this movie that does really well. It's number one on Netflix, whatever that means, transitions to, and the guy who's got his, got his card in with the Russo brothers and with Marvel. I mean, and this is his directorial debut. But the guy's done stunts on all those movies you just mentioned. And obviously he took his cues from the Russo brothers, like you mentioned. But I mean, he was integral to those movies and getting the stunts done on them. And so he knows his way around an action scene, knows his way to shoot it, obviously, from this movie. So if anybody's going to get that chance, any unknown's going to get that chance, it's going to be him.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the Russos are going to keep putting out movies. So I'm sure they'll be giving them more opportunities. I feel like this is a movie that Netflix might try to build into a franchise. They don't. It's like the one thing they don't have. Like they have series, so many series. They don't have like that movie franchise outside of all the boys I've loved before, right?
Right.
They don't have that blockbuster style franchise yet. And
right.
They might try to build one out of this if they can.
Well, almost to be an anthology style. Then too, just with like different extractions, different places, and we won't talk about why. But
we don't need to. I mean, I think the ending of this one makes it clear that there is a chance for them to be.
I didn't take it like that. I thought that's
what happened at the end. The final image is basically like, hey, if they left the ending just open enough.
Yeah.
Because if nobody watches it, they can pretend it never happened.
Like the door wasn't open, but you could see through the keyhole.
But if people do watch it, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, okay, so there can be a sequel."
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, they could have used it to leave that open. I didn't take it as being anything more than what it seemed, but yeah, I'm stepping over minefields here, but. Let me ask you this. So Extraction, I guess we said number one on Netflix this weekend. And it really kind of shows, what do we think this would have done in the theaters? And then would another movie, look, Chris Hemsworth, another movie of his, Black Hat, that came out and kind of got forgotten. It got forgotten right away. If that movie comes out on Netflix, is that a number one for the weekend? I mean,
Black Hat came out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Black Hat was David Mamet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If Black Hat came out on Netflix this weekend, it would be number one.
Right. So it's like some movies are just do much better on streaming platforms.
The problem is Chris Hemsworth. Nobody goes to see his movies outside of Thor.
Yeah.
Nobody pays to see his movies outside of Thor. And it's not as if he has like a bad track record outside of Thor either. He has a pretty good one actually.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Times at the El Royale is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Why would you see it?
That's true. 12 Strong.
Black Cat is a divisive movie. I get it, but I think in general it's well received. It was well received, but nobody went to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to pay to see him. Nobody wants to see him play anything out other than Thor, which is
ridiculous because the guy's awesome.
He's just too. But I guess they paid to see him in Snow White and the Huntsman. But I don't necessarily think that was about him. That was about Stewart and Snow White. It wasn't really about him.
Right.
So it seems like people don't want to see him do anything but play Thor. And I don't know if it's because he's almost too perfect.
Right.
People can't believe him, can't buy him. I don't know what it is. In fact, they don't pay to see any Hemsworths. People don't pay to see anybody named Hemsworth.
Well, the other ones I can get, but like he just seems to be without me putting myself in too weird of a place there. He just seems like that perfect lead actor. He's got the charisma. He can do comedy. He's obviously an action hero, and yet it just doesn't translate for him for some reason when he doesn't have armor on and lightning around him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but we need to stop assuming that because you're a Marvel star, it means you're a star outside of it, and this extends to pretty much everybody in there.
Right.
Pretty much all of them, actually. It extends even to Robert Downey Jr.
Well, Sherlock. Doolittle showed us that.
Right. He hasn't really had a hit movie outside of Iron Man in a long time either. I mean,
I can't even think of any regular movies he's had, hit or not, outside of Marvel movies.
He just did Doolittle.
Yeah, Doolittle. I know.
He had The Judge a few years ago. Let me see. He's done a couple of things outside of it.
That was 2014. So in 6 years, he's only done Doolittle outside of Marvel.
He was in Chef with Jon Favreau.
Yeah, in 2014, and then Due Date was 2010 before that. Okay, I'm sure Sherlock Holmes was before that.
Due Date?
Yeah, Due Date, remember, with Galifianakis?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
What year
was
that?
10 years ago. That was 2010. So he's only done, including his other franchise, Sherlock Holmes, he's only done a handful of movies that weren't Marvel in the last 10 years.
Right. When was the last Sherlock Holmes movie?
Last Sherlock Holmes movie was 2011. Glad to see we have your full attention here, Tracy.
I've got my WWE 2K season up, so excuse me.
Yeah, 2011 was.
I'm on a reclamation project for that game right now. I'm trying to get it to the point where it's fun.
I saw a post from you on Facebook about that. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes 3.
I've got it set up now to the way I like it, and it's actually, I think they patched it enough to where it's playable. It's actually not bad right now. So I'm gonna try and start streaming some of it pretty soon. I used to stream my last WWE 2K19.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry, you guys will be able to get to see Travis play that game soon in no time. We'll be reaching out to all those different avenues. But
I need to get the whole thing set up so I can stream my Animal Crossing adventures.
So who do you think? Now you run me down an interesting rabbit hole, because I mean, you think if anybody is going to be successful outside of Marvel, it would be Robert Downey Jr. But really, I mean, it seems like Chris Evans, maybe Scarlett Johansson are the only two that can really move outside of it that well. I mean, Chris Evans, I think the biggest piece of proof for Chris Evans was Knives Out, because it showed that he could go back to that old silly Chris Evans that he was before he played Captain America.
What are we talking
without an
about?
issue.
Are we talking about successful in terms of creative, or are we talking about successful as in people want to pay to see them?
People want to pay to see him.
People have paid to see Chris Evans do anything. They didn't pay to see him in Knives Out.
Yeah.
That movie wasn't about him either. That was an ensemble. It was as much about the group of people that they had together than it was about him. I don't necessarily think that was about him.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true.
People haven't really paid to see him either. People have paid to see Scarlett Johansson though.
Yeah.
People have paid to see her.
What
so she can boast that, like Lucy and whatever you want to say about Ghost in the Shell made some money.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they really pay to see her in either one of those? Did Lucy do well? I don't remember Lucy doing well.
Lucy did extraordinary.
Did it?
Lucy made like over $400 million, if I remember right.
Huh. Okay. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but yeah. I mean, so if that's the case, then yeah, but Ghost in the Shell lost money.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't know. Strange. I mean, I guess, that's just more proof to show that it's not about movie stars as much. I mean, Marvel cast perfectly and they've got movie stars, but it's about the.
Lucy made $463 million. It only cost $40.
Maybe that's why I remember, because it did. I knew it was surprising in one way or another. It was either that it didn't make any money or it made a lot of money given how crappy it was.
It wasn't crappy though. I liked Lucy.
Yeah, it was crappy.
The only problem I had with Lucy was the ending. The ending sucked, but I liked the movie. I think it's largely because that movie was a success that they did Ghost in the Shell at all, because the movies are fairly similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell was a mistake just because it's just an adaptation that I don't think works culturally. Like a lot of these Japanese manga anime adaptations don't really work all that great. Just why I'm like, they're trying to do a One Punch Man movie, and I was talking with our friend Julian Lytel, and I was like, I don't think it's going to work. He thinks it will. I don't think it will. I like One Punch Man as a concept. A hero who basically can defeat anybody with a single punch. And he's like on a journey to find someone who's a worthy opponent. Great idea. I don't know if it works as a movie for America.
They already made that movie. It's called Snatch, and Brad Pitt played him. One Punch Man. He was always looking.
Brad Pitt got knocked out in that movie.
Yeah, but I didn't say he had to win. But when he hit people, they got knocked out, didn't he?
So One Punch.
Did he
Man,
not knock people out with one punch in that movie, or am I not remembering that right?
A lot of people who've knocked out people with one punch.
He did it multiple times.
We could talk about Brain Smasher with Andrew Dice Clay if you want to talk about movies that people can get knocked out with one punch. I mean, that's not the point.
I'm saying that was his thing, though. Is that in that he could knock people out with one punch? It was a defining thing for him. Him and his way he talked, you know. Really, you went to the Dice Man.
I mean, honestly, Brain Smasher is as close to One Punch Man as anything else we've seen from American movies. I
don't even know what I've never even seen anything about One Punch Man, but now I got to look up Brain Smasher. I'm not really a manga guy, but
it was Brain Smasher. It was Andrew Dice Clay and Terry Hatcher, I believe, wasn't it?
It was. Check out this synopsis. It's got a picture of him in all his helmet head glory. Sam Crane, a professional model, is asked by his sister to smuggle a package from Europe to Portland. Oh, wait, is Sam Crane? Okay, that makes more sense. Sam Crane is Terry Hatcher, not Andrew Dice Clay. I was going to say, if he's playing a model, all right. Oh, God, Dice. That's funny.
That was not a good movie, by the way, but I watched it a lot. It used to come on Cinemax late.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those movies. It's there's plenty of movies.
Terry Hatcher is super hot in it. So I mean,
well, yeah,
it's like the height of Terry Hatcher around that time.
Oh, 93. She was just getting ready to do Lois and Clark.
It's like peak Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
That's like Seinfeld appearance, Terry Hatcher. Like with that episode of Seinfeld.
They're real and they're spectacular, yeah.
That episode, she was amazing in that episode.
That was her, right? She was the real and they're spectacular girl?
Yep.
Or woman,
yeah, that's peak Hatcher. So
yeah. Holy crap. Terry Hatcher was in Night Court. That's you want to talk about throwback shows that I used to love as a kid, and I have no idea why, because a kid has no right liking Night Court. Used to love Night Court.
I used to like Night Court too. I used to like Marky Post.
I was about to say Marky Post was a childhood crush. Probably where I got my love of magic, trying to be like the judge.
Oh man, he basically like Harry Anderson. He did that show, and then he did Harry's World.
Yeah.
I don't think he did anything after that. I think that was he called it quits.
Yeah, because I mean he died a few years back, yeah, and I think that was one of the things. Yeah, he.
I don't remember that.
I'm almost 100%. Yeah, he died in 2018. And I remember him in It. He played himself in an episode of 30 Rock, but that was pretty much all he did since 1997 in Days World.
Now I'm looking at it because I don't remember that at all. It may have totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, he played Dave Barry, which Dave Barry is like the a newspaper cartoonist or something, if I remember correctly. And he played him in Dave's World, and then after that, there's really almost nothing.
Wow,
he had a couple TV things, and that's it.
Wow, I don't think I knew.
It was a pretty big deal when it happened.
Huh?
It was a pretty big deal when it happened. I remember a lot of people were talking about it, and I was kind of surprised by that because, I didn't think he was that big of a deal. But I do remember, for some reason, I always will remember his Tales from the Crypt episode.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, there's like maybe 5 episodes of Tales from the Crypt that I'll never forget, and that was one of them. So somehow we went down a really weird rabbit hole, and now we're talking about Night Court and Harry Anderson, but.
This is quarantine stuff, man. There isn't. I mean, there are a whole lot of movies to talk about. I mean, we talked about Extraction. I mentioned the Willoughbys, which sucks. You know what I saw, which was interesting though? I saw Robert the Bruce. Did you watch? You didn't watch that? Not yet, but I was a big fan of Outlaw King. I was a big fan of Braveheart, and I'm really curious to know what you think about Robert the Bruce, though. I reviewed that for punchdrunkcritics.com. You can check that out. All my reviews this week. What did I review this week? I reviewed Robert the Bruce. Willoughby's, Robert the Bruce. I also did To the Stars with Tara Hayward from Moonrise Kingdom and Liana Liberato, who I'm really starting to like a lot. She's
right.
in a split. And our man Jake, he did True History of the Kelly Gang.
Another one I wanted to see.
With,
Looks like
the one from Justin Kurzel, the guy who did Assassin's Creed and Macbeth.
Right.
Yeah, and starring George McKay from 1917, which I watched that one too. I watched it. You know, I didn't do the review for us. I watched it. I would have given it a slightly better review than he did. But Robert the Bruce is interesting because even though it's not intentional, it kind of makes for a trilogy in a lot of ways. So it stars Angus McFadden, who played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart 25 years ago. Hard to believe that Braveheart was 25 years ago, but it was. So he played Robert the Bruce 25 years ago, and so it was a younger Robert the Bruce. And then just 2 years ago, Chris Pine played Robert the Bruce in Outlaw King, which was sort of like middle Robert the Bruce. And then Robert the Bruce is a later Robert the Bruce. Although this story is like not completely fictional, but it's like real events wrapped around a fictional story, right?
Yeah.
And not like the other movies, like there's not a ton of like violence and not a ton of action in this. There's some, but not a ton. It's mainly a smaller story in which he's trying to, like he's lost all these battles to the English, and he's like trying to figure out whether or not the war is even worth it anymore. He's trying to like bird himself to get back into the fight, and he kind of stumbles into the home of a family that has been affected by his wars, his lost family, but they're still behind him, and like he kind of gets that motivation back, but at the same time he also draws the ire of people who are after him, trying to kill him.
Right.
It's interesting. It's a story that kind of reflects on his battles and the cost of war and stuff like that. And it's a really interesting film. It's a quieter film. There's a pretty decent battle at the end of it too. And it's like bookended by a couple of nice fights. There's one at the beginning with him and Jared Harris, who has a small role, and then the fight at the end of the movie. But yeah, it's a solid film, but it makes this sort of unlikely trilogy of Robert the Bruce's story. So if you're like somebody who's a fan of his through history, you want to see all three of these movies and perhaps watch them together. I think.
Wasn't there another movie that he was like Robert Bruce was either the character or a side character, and not Outlaw King, but like the Timothy Chalamet movie, The King. I'm trying to remember what that was about. Was he part of that? I want to say there was another movie that Robert the Bruce featured in the last 6 months. I remember there being 3 movies about him. Seemed like a lot, but yeah, I'm definitely all for it. Now that's not just streaming. That's a in theater rental, right?
Right. You can get that on VOD right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do tonight. What do you have you been? We talked about it. I think we talked about it a minute last time we were here. But have you been watching the final season of Clone Wars on Disney Plus?
Yep, I just watched the most recent episode yesterday.
Yeah. So
by the way,
yeah,
this episode of Clone Wars is badass.
Yeah. So starting last week, meaning today's Sunday the 26th, not the 24th, the week before that, started the 4-part finale, and everything's different. Like right from the opening, instead of having that like 1940s today in the Clone Wars, like the newsreel opening.
I like it. It makes it feel so serious.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like a closing film, is I guess what their intention was, and just what they're able to do to bring so much more volume to this story right before. I mean, because it basically at the beginning of this 4-part series, Anakin and Obi-Wan are heading back to start Revenge of the Sith. Basically, they're going back to save the Chancellor, and you have Ahsoka and Captain Rex in the, I think it's the 501st, whatever that squadron is, going to handle Darth Maul during the Siege of Mandalore.
Oh, you suck.
It's still nothing. Yeah, it's not. I gave up trying to repush it about 10 minutes ago. I'm just going to upload it as soon as we're done. I'm going to upload the video in full so people aren't catching only half of it.
We might need to test this thing out and try it.
Yeah, we probably should have gotten together yesterday to do a test run, but such is life. But it's. I mean, we got 2 episodes left after this one. I mean, Ahsoka Tano. I will say that I wasn't fully on board with why everybody loved her so much. I knew she was awesome, but I wasn't like, oh, one of the top 5 characters ever. But after this 4-part series, I'll probably be right on board with that.
Not one of the top 5 characters ever, but she is a. I've said it before. I think she's the most popular non-film character in Star Wars history.
Well, I'd even say she's the most popular. If you take out the original and prequel trilogies, like just against the sequel trilogy, I think she's more popular than any character that came out of the last 3 movies, really. I mean, and just knowing that we're going to see Rosario Dawson play her on episode or season 2 of The Mandalorian is just, it even hypes it up even more. I just hope that The Mandalorian, because Mandalorian was awesome. I mean, I loved it, don't get me wrong, but it did have, you know, a more subtle approach to things. And, you know, we do have, the big thing is we do have bad guy carrying a dark saber, and Ahsoka is going to be coming into that. So I don't think that was the only lightsaber we saw in all of The Mandalorian last season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Nobody else broke one loose. So unless they're going to up the action, because it's going to be hard to top what we just saw last week when she fights Maul.
Great fight.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I'm just hoping that and I'm sure they will. I mean, obviously they have all of the.
They need to do something to make up for those first few episodes with the Wild Bunch.
yeah. I mean, well, you know what's weird is I don't know why they're stopping where they are, because apparently there's like probably 8 or 9 episodes. I was reading an article a week or 2 ago, and there's like 8 or 9 unfinished episodes of the Clone Wars that they have like animatics done for. It's just not fully fleshed out animation, and some of them were really cool. Like, you know, Yoda it's a meme that people laugh at all the time, but Yoda saying, "Good relations with the Wookiees I have" in Revenge of the Sith. There's like an episode that explains why he does. It shows when he's first out there making friends with the Wookiees, and a lot of weird, cool stuff like that. That wouldn't.
Episode.
Yeah, like see more so than the Bad Batch episodes. Like you mentioned, it really seemed like Canon Films makes a Star Wars movie. Is what the Bad Batch seemed like.
I could not stand them. I could not stand those episodes.
Yeah.
They did not feel. They felt like they should have stayed lost.
Yeah. I mean,
they didn't need those.
If anything, even if you weren't going to make more Ahsoka episodes, it just detracts from it. Just make it a 4-episode shorter series. But
make it a 2-hour movie of just Ahsoka. I mean, but just. Whatever.
I mean, that's essentially what they're doing with these last 4. But I mean, I guess they just want to punch in as much content as they can.
I like the episodes with her before and those 2 sisters. I like those as well.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
A really good way to because the reason why those episodes exist is because you need to reintroduce Ahsoka to people who don't know who she is, why she did what she did, where she's at. They don't know what her character is. So you need those episodes. You can't just throw us back into Maul, right? You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to set her up again, and I think those were a really effective way of doing it. I really like those. Yeah,
and you have to transition her out of the Jedi piece of it anyway.
But I thought they were really necessary and did a good job of kind of telling you what Ahsoka's all about.
Oh yeah, no, if you don't have those episodes, then her leaving the Jedi Order has no meaning, because right away she's back with Anakin and Obi-Wan doing Jedi missions, basically. So that's the only way you transition her out of that and make it believable that she's still going to be not a vigilante, but, you know, fighting for the forces of good, just not under the Jedi Order.
Yep.
I'm
really digging those.
Yeah.
What is it? Something. Were you talking about something in particular? Because there was something else I was going to bring up.
No, I was just kind of making my way around the subjects. Go ahead. What are you bringing up?
Did you see Tom Hardy's trolling of fans with the Spider-Man thing? So that's why we need like graphics we can put up, so we can put the images of people. I had to look at my hand like that. And actually images and stuff. But Tom Hardy's been like trolling fans. So this week Sony announced the title of the upcoming Venom sequel and the date, which I think is June 25th, 2021, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of release date moves this week. You can find those all on PunchDrunkCritics.com. I'm not going to go through them all now. but Spider-Man got moved, Doctor Strange got moved, all sorts of stuff got moved around. But
Right.
Sony released the sequel's title. It's Venom: Let There Be Carnage. It's a stupid, stupid title. Stupid for what
I
is
like it.
assuredly going to be a stupid movie. Because the first movie was stupid, but it was fun stupid. The sequel needs to be fun stupid. So I get it. The title sucks. The title's stupid, and it's going to be a stupid movie. If it's a stupid movie, then it's fine. Based on Woody Harrelson's hair at the end of the first movie, it should be a stupid movie.
They fixed that though.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You need to not touch that hair. Say what it is. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. Let it stay that way. But Tom Hardy has been posting on Instagram. Like he keeps posting it and then taking it down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he did it more than once? I thought he only did it the once.
No, he's done it before. He did it a few times. He always deletes it like immediately. An image of Venom chomping down on a Spider-Man. It looks a lot like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And people, of course, he knew that was going to get people buzzing about him teasing a Venom Spider-Man crossover in Venom 2. I mean, he knows that's what's
right.
There's no other reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's got people buzzing. Is it true? I mean, I don't know. Of course, none of us knows.
Yeah.
That's the point. None of us knows shit, and he's doing it on purpose. I just love it because a lot of sites ran with it. Like, Tom Hardy is teasing this for this. Tom Hardy is promising Spider-Man versus Venom.
Oh, people latch on to pretty much anything for clickbait articles. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But the potential is there. I mean, the Sony and Marvel seem to have a pretty good relationship right now. I posted about some of their moves recently. And Spider-Man, I think the Spider-Man 3 that's coming up, the sequel to Far From Home, moved into the spot that used to be Doctor Strange in the Mouth of Madness. So I think there's some coordination there. Like, I don't think that's a coincidence. But you've also got Michael Keaton's Vulture, who's going to be showing up in Morbius.
Mm-hmm. Start of the Sinister Six, maybe. I mean, look, here's the thing: is the only problem I have with it is Venom didn't feel, and maybe it's just thematically, maybe it was just cinematography. It didn't feel like it took place in the same world as Spider-Man and as the MCU. And that,
I don't know. How so though? Like how?
Don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It might just be how it looked, and my brain's disconnecting it. But it just didn't seem like the same place. I mean, yeah, it just didn't seem like the same place. I don't know why. I can't put words on it, but to me, it didn't. It seemed like it was two different things. Like they don't really go together.
It's a big world out there, man, and they don't all look and feel the same.
Yeah, but it was in San Francisco. I don't think Ant-Man would have heard about some alien suits going crazy. I mean, right? No, maybe not. Maybe not.
And even if he did, that doesn't mean he has to be a part of the story.
I don't know if you knew this, Travis, but spiders eat ants. So I think they would be natural enemies. But no, but I mean, they would be stupid not to. I mean, it would be stupid of us to think that it won't go there at some point. Obviously, if the Sony and Marvel relationship gets even better, you might see Venom and Carnage and all the rest of those guys come into the MCU as well. But at a minimum, it would be stupid not to take. I mean, that's like taking Superman and never having him interact with Lex Luthor. I mean, Venom. I mean, you say all you want about Norman Osborn and everybody else, but since the early '90s, Venom and Spider-Man are everybody's favorite pairing. Or his favorite enemy when it comes to Spider-Man. There's nobody that wants to see Spider-Man fight more than Venom. Some might say Kingpin, but no, it's Venom.
There's zero people that say Kingpin.
I just want to put something else out there.
Green Goblin would be the one.
I said Norman Osborn.
Yeah, that would be the one that you want to see. Norman Osborn is his Lex Luthor. It's not Venom.
Well, I know, but I know who it is, like actually, but I'm saying it's who you want to see them fight. All right, let me change that up. So it would be like having.
No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that people want to see Spider-Man.
Right.
I
And
don't know how much of that they're going to get if these two ever cross over between Sony and Marvel. I don't know how much of that you're going to get because Venom's
right.
basically an anti-hero already at this point. So I don't know how much you might get a little bit. I don't know why they did this, and then maybe this is what they'll set up to. You know, like a maximum carnage sort of thing. Spider-Man
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
versus Carnage. Now that I would like to see. I would like to see that. But yeah, you can't just jump right into something like that. But that's not what, like I said, this is not what Tom Hardy's doing. Tom Hardy's just messing with people.
Oh yeah. You know,
which I'm fine with.
Tom Hardy is totally cool in my book, and I actually want to take a second just to give a shout out to all the celebrities that are doing this because it's a really, really cool thing, and it really, really helps out a lot. Is, you know, Tom Hardy did it for a week straight. Celebrities are going out and they're reading bedtime stories on YouTube for kids, and he did a bunch of them. James McAvoy did one, Kristen Bell, all those people. But it's the coolest little thing, and the kids love it. But I got to say, it's awesome for me to have Uncle Tom Hardy read my kids' bedtime stories. So I want to say thank you to him for that, above all else.
Better than you, right?
Absolutely. I can't even read. That's why I talk here. If you guys look at the site, you won't see very many reviews from me because I can't do words good. So I talk.
as you just evidenced with that line, with that sentence.
Exactly. You see what I did there?
I try not to correct you. I try not to correct you when you do stuff like that. Like when you say that makes me more busy. I'm like, there's a word for that. It's called.
When do I ever say more busy?
You said it.
I'm
earlier.
busier.
You said it in this show. You said
don't
in
even
this
start.
show when talking about your work, how you are now more busy. And I was,
oh yeah, well yeah. Whatever. You know, honestly, if I have to sit here and tell you that I was being sarcastic when I said I don't do word good, then we got a whole nother thing to talk about.
Man, that's funny. I just posted something on the site actually about Back to the Future. Did you see that?
I did.
How the writer Bob Gale has like settled the debate, and this is a stupid debate. But honestly, it has been going on for 30 years. You know, about the future and why Marty McFly's parents don't recognize him when he returns to the present. I always thought it was obvious why they didn't recognize him because it's been like how many years? Like 20 years.
30 years, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recognize him.
I can't remember how many years it was between their time that they were in high school to the present to 1985 for them. I can't remember how many years it was exactly. But,
right.
But
it was 30 years. It was 30 years from 1955 to 1985. Okay. 30 years.
Okay. So so Bob Gale, and this is the value of being a celebrity, that you can just throw shit out there and it snowballs and stuff like this. So there's James Gunn who started all this, Guardians of the Galaxy director, and he was doing the 5 perfect movies thing that they've been doing on Twitter lately, and he mentioned Back to the Future as a perfect movie. He's also started this debate about perfect movies versus favorite movies, which is the debate I have every year with myself when it comes to like top 20 time. You know, whenever somebody asks me what are your 5 favorite movies, and I'm like, does that mean movies I think are the best, or movies that are just my personal favorite? You know, that's the debate. And I always come down on if they're your favorite, then they're perfect to you. Who fucking cares? So that's where I land on it. And he pretty much came up with the same reasoning, but he said that Back to the Future falls into his perfect movies category, but he always has that one thing, which is like, why don't his parents recognize him when he comes back in the present? And that got Chris Pratt involved. Chris Pratt jumped in and basically said that, you know, his parents probably don't recognize him, you know, from 20, 30 years ago. They recognize Calvin because he went back in time as Calvin Klein.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Klein. They recognize Calvin Klein. They might even recognize, hey, our son has kind of a resemblance to this guy, but they only know him for a few days, you know, in years. So it's like, why would they ever think that it's their son? Why would they ever think that? And he's right.
Yeah.
The writer of the movie, Bob Gale, came in and basically said, which Brad is right. You know, I can read his statement real quick, which just only take a moment.
Yeah, I mean, while you're pulling that up, it's tantamount to everybody had that friend whose cousin came into town for a weekend or a week or so back in the day. And if you tell me that you could pick that friend's cousin out of a lineup, then I'd give you a shiny nickel, because it's just not the case. You're not going to remember that.
It doesn't work like that. So here's what Bob Gill said. There's 2 quick paragraphs. Bear in mind that George and Lorraine only knew Marty/Calvin for 8 days when they were 17, and they did not even see him every one of those 8 days. So many years later, they still might remember that interesting kid who got them together on their first date. So Lorraine and George might think it funny that they once actually met someone named Calvin Klein, and even if they thought their son at age 16 or 17 had some resemblance to him, it wouldn't be a big deal. I bet most of us could look through our high school yearbooks and find photos of our teenage classmates that bear some resemblance to our children. And I agree with that. And my assertion was, if somebody from high school that I knew 20 years ago showed up at my door and I hadn't seen them in 20 years, there's very little chance I'd recognize them. There's very little chance that I would recognize them right off the bat. Like, I wouldn't know. They'd have to tell me who they were.
You would recognize it was somebody that you knew somewhere at some time, but you wouldn't be able to place it. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not if it's somebody I wasn't friends with. If it's somebody I only knew for a few days, like in this case, there's almost no chance I would remember who they were.
But it is only 8 days, but it is a very important 8 days in their life. Like, you know, you seem to, people tend to remember, landmark days in their lives better than others. But even with that, they still wouldn't remember, because you got to remember also, this is 1955. They didn't have selfies with them. They didn't even have a picture with them, probably. They didn't have any pictures of them. So
you're not looking at pictures of these people all the time. But also, yeah, he was important to them for those few days that they knew him. But those days still weren't about him. They were about each other.
Right.
So it was his whole reason for being there was in bringing them together. So it was those days were important because they got together during those days, not because they met Calvin Klein. So, not because.
Well, I don't know. It seemed like a bit of an awakening for Mrs. McFly, if you ask me. Those original moments with Calvin Klein in her bedroom.
I never thought that hard about Back to the Future's plot. I just never did. And
you can't. It's time travel.
It's not one of those movies that I have that sort of reverence for that other people do. I mean, I liked it, and that's just sort of where it ends for me. But a lot of people sit around and like analyze and analyze the movie, and like I said, they've been debating it for over 30 years, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just never thought about it that hard. But then again, I don't think about any of these things that hard. Like, there are people who break down these movies all the time to ridiculous degrees. Every movie.
Well, that's the thing, is you can't. The movies are made to be entertaining, not bulletproof. So, I mean, obviously a movie about a guy that gets in a DeLorean and travels back in time, you're not supposed to look for the plot holes. I mean, and the thing a lot of people forget about when they find Easter eggs or gaffes or anything like that in these movies is the whole idea of being able to go back and look at movies in any kind of decent quality is just of the last 20 to 25 years. I mean, even with VHS, when they knew you could rewatch something and pause it, you couldn't really make a lot out on a VHS. If you go back and watch a VHS, you'll see how bad the quality is. So, especially when you go back to the 70s and early 80s, these are people that thought these movies would never be seen outside of a theater. Back to the Future was just on the cusp of that home video thing and just into the start of the home video thing. But, they didn't think people were going to spend this much time worrying about it.
Yeah.
I guarantee Bob Gale didn't say to himself, in 40 years, people are going to be asking whether, the McFlys recognize their son as Calvin Klein. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Whatever. All right, it's 3:15 already. We've been here for.
Yeah, we are just past our hour. So it's time to wrap it up, I guess. Now, you guys will be watching this, obviously, not on the YouTube stream, but on the YouTube playback when we upload this video. Next week, we will be starting right at 2. We're gonna definitely be on YouTube. We're gonna try Facebook and Twitch as well.
I'm laughing at your optimism. I love it.
Well, yeah, we'll get it worked out by then. We're pretty much there. It just didn't start right. It just didn't connect. That's no big deal. So we'll get it there. Go ahead, man.
That's it, man. Thanks for joining us for Cinema Royale this week. I'm Travis Hobson. That's John Nolan. We are the Punch Drunk Critics. Check us out every day at punchdrunkcritics.com. You can find me on Twitter at PunchyCritic. He is at PunchDrunkJohn. You can find us on Facebook as well. Me on Instagram. I don't know if you don't have Instagram, do you?
I do.
Really?
It's just a personal one. I don't put anything on there.
Yeah.
And you know what we can do?
Not that much on there for mine either that you can't find on Facebook either. So
now that we have this whole video contraption, we can actually do little credits to roll up with all our places you can find us.
We're gonna need to add a whole bunch of stuff actually.
Oh yeah. This is the first step into a larger universe.
Oh.
We'll see y'all later.
All right. Later, everybody.
Out.